It was both his signal strength and, in the eyes of his people, his greatest weakness. It had certainly been a point of contention between Eluvian and one of his only surviving relatives over the past few centuries. Entellerus's eyes, however, retained their green. If she desired to descend into a lecture over being properly Barani, she would not give in to it today. It was the only mercy he was to be granted, and in keeping with Entellerus, it was small. "I have called you here to ask a favor." He could not prevent his jaw from clenching. He did, however, find flexibility in his legs. He sat. This was not the first time he had been asked a favor, but the color of her eyes didn't imply the cold rage of imminent death. "I am to return to the West March in the very near future," which would be a relief to everyone in the high halls who had any reason to either interact with Entellerus or who was too new or foolish to avoid her. "I expect that I will not be greeted with great hospitality. That has ever been the case." "You have guards." "Indeed, I do. I wish you to be among them." "Just how little hospitality are you expecting?" His tone, unlike hers, was sharper. He didn't trust her, and the trek to the West March would eat months of mortal time. Were it not for his duty to the Emperor and his duty to the wolves, those months would be a triviality. The Lord of Wolves, however, had survived what Eluvian considered to be the last assassination attempt for the next several years. The office was, if woefully undermanned, stable. The newest of Eluvian's recruits had settled into the job he had been given, and he was quick, bright, and often otherwise invisible while standing in place. Helmet both prized and trusted the young Severn Handred. Rosen approved. Jarin had not yet returned from his last hunt, but Eluvian felt almost certain, or as certain as one could be with ever-changing mortals, that Jarin would approve. Melian was herself, suspicious and wavering between protective interest, envy, and resentment. The office could survive a few months of his absence. "When do you plan to leave?" "That will depend on you." He had an inkling of what was to follow. "I wish you to bring Severn Handred with you." The request was both expected and surprising, the latter because of the timing. Severn was only barely of age in mortal parlance. He had, there could be no doubt, experience with Barani, but until his induction into the wolves, that experience had likely been singular. He had met a single Barani man, had been taught to read and write, and had been tested for the magical abilities so prized by Eluvian's kin. That Severn himself did not seem to understand those abilities seemed clear to both of the Barani currently in this room. "Severn Handred does not report to me. I am not his superior officer." "I am aware of that." "I cannot fulfill your request." "Oh? You serve the Emperor directly. The boy serves the Emperor. While mortals are difficult and their hierarchical convolutions often mystifying, the Emperor is not mortal. You will have and carry more weight with our eternal Emperor than the boy, or his wolf lord. If you request it of your Emperor, he will grant the request." "It is clear to me that you have not met the Emperor," Eluvian replied, wry rather than stiff. Entellerus was unusual for a Barani lord, but she made assumptions. "The first question he will ask, and I consider it perfectly reasonable, is why. If I cannot answer that question, the request will be denied. The existence of that request will, however, pique his interest." The green in her eyes dimmed. "Come up with an excuse. You are surely capable of that." "Perhaps you wish to speak with him in person. It would be highly unusual for a Barani lord to visit a second time, but I am certain he would allow an appointment to be made." "Now you are beginning to annoy me." "Entellerus, if you cannot gain permission from the Emperor, I am certain the Lord of Wolves would grant what you ask." "The Emperor is the better choice if you wish for success," Eluvian told her, his expression and tone bland and neutral. "But if you wish it, you will have to offer an explanation for the request." The last of the green faded.